Alright, this is Reviewer Beware. My name is Josh Irby, and I'm so glad that we are done with all of these books that have sequels for now. We're going to do a little disappearing act. This is Goosebumps number 6, Let's Get Invisible. I gotta be honest, I love Tim's covers. This one doesn't do much for me. It's a cool angle between the contrast of the way his shirt looks in the mirror and outside of it, I suppose. But other than that, it just doesn't really do much for me in the grand scheme of things. It's just there.
What our book today is about is we have our main character Max and his brother Lefty, who after a birthday party, they discover a ominous mirror in the attic of their home. What this mirror does is kind of like a clap on, clap off effect. You flick the switch, you're gone. But when the switch is turned off again, you come back. But things get stranger as the longer they stay invisible, they notice there are more rather so they have some changes, weird feelings, they feel colder as they're gone longer, but these characters, they fall into a trap made by themselves. Their addiction, their temptations, and their self-restraints get to them as a lot of them decide it would be their best interest to make a little competition out of it. See who can stay invisible the longest, and as they abuse the mirror more and more, there are more and more consequences. So, getting to the meat of the story, I feel like this is one of R.L. Stine's addiction and temptation innuendos. Why do I say that? Max is watching around as his friends and his brother keep using the mirror longer and longer. They have to deal with their addictions and their inability to avoid the mirror, causing more and more consequences, and they slowly become the opposite of themselves. I really like this as an innuendo for addiction because, we've all struggled with that. Some people, whether it's something more serious like alcohol, some people too many video games, some people use their phone too often, especially as they're talking. Colin, I don't have a problem. Stop looking at me that way. But everything keeps getting worse. And Noah, his brother Lefty, the kid just can't resist. In the middle of the book, he has to play during dinner. Cut. He just has to disappear during dinner. And Max actually is one of the earliest people to catch on to this. What I like is we have a more analytical main character. Why? Because one of the things R.L. Stine's like to write is that the main character always has to be dumb. But instead, everyone around him is an idiot. It's kind of like an inverted Reviewer Beware. I didn't say that. Even in the middle of page 66, Max is saying, I suddenly had a bad feeling about all this. And he's observing as he suddenly keeps having the anxiety about the mirror. It's stuck in his head. So I love the innuendo, but there is one thing that is hanging off this book that really bothers me. This book did not have to be 139 pages. This is the longest Goosebumps book in the series. My issue with the length of it comes from the fact that I think if you're going to have a book that long within this series, it should be used for a concept that needs it to be longer. As it stands, the middle section felt like an early Reviewer Beware video.
Okay, Josh, do the thing.
Apparently I hate myself on camera. But all jokes aside, this book, I don't know, it just felt like with the very middle sections, it was just a continuous loop of the competition, and we could have used that to answer some of the plot holes, such as, why is the mirror here? Why is the mirror important? Why is all this? Why is all that? So I think the whole competition aspect was good, but instead of just it carrying almost the entire story, I think they should have added something to make pace in the middle. Like, the book's late game is really strong, but the middle section kind of, it starts to lag a little bit. It's a slow, steady burn. And I think the book's maturity becomes a double-edged sword because of that. Because on one hand, I have been here praising the fact that it focuses very heavily on a more serious, profound problem about people's obsessions and people's indulgence. But when your entire book is kind of centered a little too heavily around it, it just gets a little irritating. And by the time the end was there, the end did deliver. The end is really good of the book. I was just like, can we get through this and figure out what this mirror really is? But the good news is, like I said, the ending was strong for what the mirror really is. You notice characters, as they evolve, they become like more like evil versions of self. One of Max's friends literally just messed with this old man and just threw around his garden. But it's funny because this is Goosebumps and not real life, where boomers don't suck. So, is the mirror causing them harm? No. They become a reflection of themselves. The exact opposite of their personalities. They start to act more evil, more despicable. Because, slowly, the reflection is what comes out of the mirror. And the real person becomes trapped in the mirror. How does this all accumulate, though? The biggest payoff in this book comes from the twist. Notice how I said Lefty, yeah. So, he's called Lefty because he always throws left-handed. Max saw at the end, the horror, as his brother Lefty was throwing righty. Overall, the twist really does hit. I think overall this book stands to be one I would call good, but it can't quite get to great because, unfortunately, the bad news is one of the weaknesses of R.L. Stine on occasion, he has to pad along his own narrative. And this is one of the cases. I feel like when most of the meat of the story is really late, the fuse and spark for what is going on within, like, playing off of, like, they're making a game out of this, they're not taking it seriously. For the first bit, it gets there, but as you get there later, it's just, you're like, can we just get to the part where we figure out where all this is going? The book, I think the book would do better if it had more like a mystery and intrigue section to it. Like, there's more to figure out about the mirror, but the book just doesn't decide that that becomes a priority. Again, like I said, the conclusion, very strong. What I'm going to say is this. I think that it might be a case of the concept is stronger than the execution until the end of the book. But it does teach a very important lesson. As we've all said earlier, besides not letting Colin anywhere near your films, we all have things we got to learn to get past. You know, there's some of us who have dealt with something like drugs or alcohol. We've been addicted to some of the more indulgent things, such as sex or even the internet. Unfortunately, the harshest thing about the twist is it reminds me that there's always an opportunity to get better, but unfortunately there comes the part where it's too late. I think R.L. Stine went for a very mature ending. I think, for better or worse, this book is what it is, and I don't know if I could say I would change it given the ending we got. I'm going to say overall this is a solid entry in the Goosebumps series. I don't think it's spectacular, but it hits good beats, and I like that R.L. Stine went more mature with this one. And no dog was murdered. But the dog's name is Whitey, and it was all Whitey's fault on page 1. This could either be a joke about... I'm just going to talk about 8 Crazy Nights, and the camera guy should probably kick me off screen.
No, Josh, I know what you're going for, and if you want me to put fucking Adam Sandler in your video, I'm not going to do it. Every movie he does is terrible. He's talentless. He doesn't
uncut gems.
No, more like uncut shit. Nah, that's just a bunch of garbage. Josh, fuck you. I'm not putting this in.
I'll see myself out next time. We're going to talk about the first of a legendary trilogy, The Night of the Living Dummy. I will be your puppet master. See you all soon. Like, comment, subscribe. And I just wanted to flat out say a few things. I'm so happy to be back. Listen to Vanity Contest. Support the boys. I'm so glad to be here. You'll be seeing more of me soon. Have a good night, everyone. Reviewer beware.